Right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here on the Harmless Dave channel, talking about Steve Perry and how his final exit from Journey was perfectly timed. Yeah, I'll talk about this and put everything together. I'll try to in one delicious video for you here. As I do what I do in real time for a few real people just like you and just like me. Don't forget, if you like the content here, please subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell if you want notifications. Also, to support this channel, there's Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee, YouTube memberships, and PJ Rock Super Chats. So I'm inspired today because Neil Sean decided to post a clip from the infamous Behind the Music documentary. Oh boy. Um, I think the hip thing that Perry was complaining about at the time, he had to have the surgery and so forth, that was real. But I do think he leveraged it to get out of Journey. That's the only thing I can think of, right? If he didn't leverage it, then certainly he threw it back at those guys like, hey, you're not really my family. You wouldn't take this so lightly and so forth. If you watch that documentary, by the way, it's very one-sided. It's geared to make Perry look like the bad guy throughout the entire documentary. The same way the Eagles put Don Felder in their epic 2-hour, 3-hour documentary and made Felder look like the bad guy. And Felder agrees to do it, whereas Perry is answering questions and then they're editing Perry to make it look like, hey, he's not cooperating. He left the band, which is true. He wasn't cooperating and he did leave the band. But my contention in this little video here is to say that Perry made the right decision. Now, a couple of things that Jonathan Cain noticed when Perry got back to Journey. One is that he sounded different. His vocals had changed. And maybe, as Jonathan Cain said, they have taken too much out of Perry. They beat a dead horse, I think is what they said, or they beat the racehorse. I don't know. They used a horse phrase, which I thought was interesting. Like, you've got a thoroughbred here, and maybe we've just run the thoroughbred too hard. I don't know. Maybe he wasn't able to hit the high notes with the same level of proficiency. And this is what, 1996? And yeah, I mean, it's been a few years since Perry was with Journey. Technically, 1987, he leaves and he comes back 9 years later. So there's a good chance you might not be able to sing. Now, or at least sing the same way. Now, what was interesting, Jars of Clay, right? You know that phrase or that band? It's a band and a phrase, Treasure in Jars of Clay. This phrase shows up on the album Trial by Fire. Perry got inspiration from 2 Corinthians 4, verses 7 through 9. Now listen to this, right? Was this aimed at anyone in particular? He said, we have this treasure in jars of clay to show that the surpassing power belongs to God and not to us. We are afflicted in every way, but not crushed, perplexed, but not driven to despair, persecuted, but not forsaken, struck down, but not destroyed. If anything, that kind of sounds like Steve Perry, right? It's specifically maybe a message to his bandmates, a message that maybe they didn't pick up on until much later. Jonathan Cain may have learned more about this later on when he became a Bible scholar. I don't know. I think Steve was hoping that these guys would just shut this thing down when he said he wasn't coming back. And he urged them, this from the documentary now, to call this whatever they wanted to, but not to call it Journey. Don't break the stone. He said it over and over. Well, I've said it over and over. Perry probably only said it once or twice. Honestly, the only reason Journey got into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, in my humble opinion, 2 reasons. Well, maybe 3, all right? Steve Perry's songwriting, the popularity of Don't Stop Believin'. So you could say Perry, Sean, and Cain together. But without Perry, you don't have this song. You don't have these vocals. You don't have the nostalgia that has now been used all over the place, most notably in The Sopranos. Also, they use Separate Ways in Stranger Things. I think they use Don't Stop Believin' in Glee. And the song is just a cultural phenom. It continues to be a big deal. And the band these days is playing it like their third song or something. They're just getting it right out there, which I don't know. I would sandbag it and use it later. I mean, why shoot the whole wad when you can we can retain it till the end? But anyway, they probably do. Hopefully, they do some kind of focus testing to find out what people would like to hear and when. But guess what? This band is not going away. It's going to be around for a couple of more years. But you got to give credit to Steve Perry. He walked away at the perfect time. Perry knew that in 1998, the music industry had already changed. And there's no coming back from that change between Napster and then the streaming stuff and the change in the style. Obviously, you had grunge and then you had post-grunge and you had alternative pop. Where was Journey going to fit in all of this? And after the record label put the album out, it did fairly well. They did get a Grammy nomination for When You Love a Woman, which is just a great song. But where were they going to go after that? And Perry knew that this wasn't going to be a long-term thing. He was hoping, again, that the guys would just shut this down. My guess is Perry didn't want to go out there and scream for his supper anymore. He didn't mind recording with the guys, but to hit the road again, and maybe, he left for a while, forgot about certain personality issues that he had with certain people. And again, Perry was kind of an isolationist to begin with. He said something in the documentary like he never felt like he was a part of this band. And that was kind of surprising, especially to Jonathan Cain. I completely understand what he's saying, that you can be around people and still feel not comfortable with people. It happens to me all the time. It happens to other people I know, and it's a normal thing. Just because you hang out with a bunch of guys for a long time doesn't mean that you really gel with those guys. You get along because you have to get along, and you have to make the best of it. See, Perry's philosophy since 1998 is John Lennon's song Watching the Wheels. All right? That's what Perry's been doing. He's no longer on the ball. He's no longer in the big scheme of things. He's just watching the wheels go by. And as John Lennon said, he had to let it go, and that's what Perry did. Perry, of course, retained control of his catalog. He hasn't sold the rights to the music like John and Neil have. So every time they want to put a song in like The Sopranos or Stranger Things, they have to get Uncle Steve's permission, which is very interesting. Steve is kind of like the godfather of Journey at this point. The other thing is Steve Perry made the greatest deal in the history of deals when he left Journey. All right, this was the price they were going to pay for keeping the brand going when he said, no, don't do that. All right. The best thing that happened in recent years, and it's not that recent anymore, was Steve Perry's appearance at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And from what I know behind the scenes, and again, this is just what I've heard, I can't verify from a specific person, but Perry did not want to go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He didn't want to go, but he decided to go. He was convinced that he should go because this was his work. They were honoring his work with the band, and I think he deserves recognition, and he probably felt like he should go and be a part of this and make nice for one night. He wouldn't hang with these guys anymore. He wouldn't talk to them anymore. He wouldn't go out for coffee with Neil Schon. He wouldn't talk to Jonathan Cain about his book that he had been writing. None of that stuff. Perry was just showing up, doing his thing. He was being humble and gracious. He was quite entertaining at the Hall of Fame ceremony, and it was like seeing an old friend come back who had been gone for a long time. And he reminded us why he was such a great frontman, the fact that he's a good communicator, and that he seems like a decent guy. Now, some people have different opinions about Steve Perry because he kind of left the fans hanging in 1987. I think a lot of fans were really upset when he left Journey the first time. Not so much the second time. That's the way I look at it. Um, One thing of note is Perry thanked his attorney at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ceremony. He thanked his attorney for getting him a great deal because he's still making money off of Journey when they go out on tour. One thing about Steve Perry is he's managed to stay above the drama because he's not in this band anymore. The relationship between Kane and Sean is nothing more than a shotgun wedding at this point between two men who couldn't disagree or couldn't be further apart on many issues. Recently, and this is issue number 2, recently, thanks to the internet, there's a chance that the band might be using auto-tune, all right, based on one channel in particular that does this type of analysis, and they do really good work. Check out Wings of Pegasus if you want to see that video. I believe the auto-tune was left on when Arnell was just talking to the audience. And so the auto-tune was actually trying to tune the spoken words to a note, all right? They need a tech, and they might need a singer. I don't know. By the way, this is very common. Bands are doing this all over the place. It isn't just Journey. But when a band has a singer like Steve Perry as the guy who made the band famous, and you hear those vocals every day on the radio, and then you go in concert and you hear something completely different, that's not going to fly with a lot of people. Although people are very tolerant these days of artificial intelligence as it's becoming used, it's being used more and more, and it's actually kind of scary. And so that might not be the real scandal that they're using auto-tune in today's world, but again, you're trying to execute the Steve Perry catalog convincingly, and fans are going to hear it, and they're going to go, what's wrong with this guy? He can't sing. And that will spread like wildfire, and then people won't buy tickets. It's all about the ticket sales, folks. That's what this is all about, because bands don't make money selling music anymore. At least bands like Journey don't make money selling new material anymore. If they can get one of their songs in another soundtrack or something, maybe they'll sell a few downloads, right? Of course, they have to get Uncle Steve's permission to do that. So if the band's vocals are possibly not authentic, why would anyone pay top dollar to listen to this band live? If it's not really live, why go see a live show? The last issue is that Jonathan Cain announced his retirement after 2 years of touring, which hasn't happened yet. Will be next year and the year after. So what will become of what's left of Journey after Jonathan Cain leaves? Will Cain retain his ownership of the corporation? Will he be replaced, or will this truly be the end of Journey? Perry's exit from this band years ago was very smart, because Perry knew the best years for this band were behind them. Vocally, he wasn't able to do what he used to do. He knew that. Secondly, he didn't want to be on the road for months on end, even if he could do this and take breaks. I know they have larger gaps between shows these days, but did Perry want to go back to this? Did Perry want to be in close quarters with 2 guys, maybe 3 guys? Who knows how many guys? I don't know, Steve Smith, when he was with the band, if Perry was a big fan of him or not. They seem to get along at the Hall of Fame, but you don't know if there's any lasting animosity from the firings, right? They did a decade of great music between 77 and 87. Those albums were the best music they've made. They haven't made an album really half as good as that stuff. Trial by Fire was very good, but I would say their best music was between 77 and 87, and most people would agree with that. Uh, Perry knew that there was no way to top that. So why come back? Um, I'm thinking he also had personal gripes either with Kane or Sean or possibly both. He made the right move for his own survival. And he's become kind of a cult figure with his legends or legions of fans who still want him back in Journey, even to this day. Bring Steve Perry back. No Perry, no Journey. I see the comments all the time. No Steve, no ticket buying, you know? And it's been, guys, it's been 27 years. He's not coming back. So in summary, we're kind of left with another classic rock band that is likely staying on the scene too long. In the end, Steve Perry was very smart when he said not to break the stone. Maybe they should have listened to him. And that's my video about the history of Journey, Steve Perry, and how smart he was for calling it quits when he did. I'm Dave. Thanks for watching. Again, don't forget, buy me a coffee, PJ Rock Super Chats, Patreon. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that. I appreciate that. And I'll be back with more exciting content soon. So keep it right here on the Harmless Dave channel.